at the cornerstone of our lives and our nation. Tune in to hear our guests every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. as we impart knowledge and guidance to our listeners. Don't forget, every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. on Live 95.1 FM, Youth on the Rise.
Good evening, listeners from Choiseul, St.Lucia, and online. Welcome to another episode of Youth on the Rise. Again, I am your host, Chris Jardel, and this evening we have a very interesting topic in store here, and we are speaking on the concept of relationships. Now, to start off, I start off with a quote by Stephen Covey, and it reads, "Trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's the foundational principle that holds all relationships." And listeners, the topic for this evening is how to build trust in relationships. Like I mentioned in the message to most of the listeners prior to the show, we all love relationships and we all like to be in one, like to have one. However, most of the time something always goes wrong. It's almost never perfect. And there are many reasons why that is not so. But a big reason why things always seem to go wrong, and the big reason why a lot of our relationships are very fickle and they don't last, is because of a lack of trust. And this evening we are going to be looking at why that is the case and how to build that trust, how to improve on it. Okay? I'm sure many of us listening may actually be very serious about a relationship, may actually be trying and not be able to grow a relationship, not be able to have a relationship that lasts for more than a few months. So this is for you especially. Now, this segment will be broken into four parts. Here, first of all, we tackle why, or rather how trust gets removed from relationships, okay? How the trust is actually lost here. Also, we will look at how trust is built, okay, and maintained. Thirdly, we are going to look at the barriers to trust in a relationship, the barriers to actually building that trust. And lastly, we're going to look at how to actually repair it. Again, we have certain situations where trust is almost flattened out, almost diminished entirely, and it's easy to suggest how to do things when when you're not necessarily in a certain situation at the moment. But when you have it a lot worse than others, say marriage or a lot more commitments, it becomes a bit more ticklish. Okay? Now, to start off again, when you look at trust, again, there are many definitions of that word. But in the context of relationships, trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Again, I repeat, the firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. Okay? So in a relationship, a partner would really have to depend on the other in order to have some level of trust in them. Okay? Also, they would need to have that ability to really be there for the other person. Okay? Rely on them in their time of need. Okay? Also with certain secrets, information, facts about one partner that everybody else doesn't know about. Okay, so basically that really constitutes what trust is in the context of a relationship. And here it is important because a lot of us do not understand what trust means. Okay, And not just a plain definition, but we say we trust somebody, but the perception that we have of trust is very shallow. Okay? It could be only, sorry, to not cheat. It could be only probably for secret. Okay? Again, we're speaking about relationships here, not friendships. But a lot of times you find infidelity, adultery happening because the grounds of one partner actually trusting each other, that is not agreed on. Okay? So that is very important to note. Now, in any relationship, again, things happen. Negative circumstances, trials, tribulations, bad situations come up, whether it's intended or whether it's unintended. And a lot of things, when they happen and they go unchecked, that causes one partner to trust the other less. Okay? Or sometimes that causes both partners to trust each other less. So the level of trust in the relationship gets diminished. Now, why is that so? Now, that could happen for many reasons. And it's not as clear cut as you think. Yes, we all know somebody doing something wrong, okay? Cheating. But cheating is not the only reason why the trust level of a relationship can go down. One reason could actually be not the relationship necessarily, but how much the partner actually trusts themselves. Okay? A lot of us, we come into relationships and we come in with a lot of baggage, a lot of trauma from childhood, a lot of bad experience, a lot of bad memories, and we hold on to that hurt. Okay? So we not let go as we should. And that really stifles us in our expression. Okay? How much we can open up, how much we can actually help the other person, how much we can actually be ourselves. Okay? So a lot of times it's from experiences in childhood such as schooling sometimes, abusive relationships, past abusive relationships, parenting, okay, how you were brought up, you as a person, that is one partner in a relationship, how you were brought up, okay, and really, especially with parenting, sometimes the way that children are brought up, the examples that they had to follow, what they were exposed to, it sometimes is very bad and it damages them. For example, let's say a child, okay, grew up knowing that, say, the mother was very promiscuous. And I mean, as much as you don't like to speak about such things, sometimes it occurs, whether many people know about it, whether many people don't know about it. And the child being very young sees that as normal because that is what they are exposed to regularly. And that child grows up into a young adult, whether it's a young male or a young female, seeing that pattern of behavior as right and as correct. And therefore, even if they are in a relationship, okay, a monogamous relationship, the habit of cheating is still there. So they don't have the discipline to stay with one partner because they grew up with it being normal, not staying with one person, okay, or not being engaged, not being sexually involved with only one person. So it's very easy for such people to cheat. So they do not trust themselves in that because of the history, sorry, and also they do not trust themselves because of all the experiences that they've held from their childhood. And need not be just cheating that is carried on from childhood. Again, it could be abuse. Again, it could be poor grades from school. Okay? And the reason I say poor grades is that a lot of times when certain adults are not academically inclined, it hurts their self-esteem, especially when you go into the world of work. And also as individuals, right? Their self-esteem is very low. And a lot of times in adult life, that manifests into individuals are not very confident in themselves. Individuals would not believe that they can do very well. Individuals would not believe that they are worth a lot. And I am sure many people fall under that trap. In one way or the other, to a greater extent than others. So we need to be careful, people. All right? It's easy to point the finger and say that, you know, that's not me. That cannot happen to me. Or I'm not in that. Right? But check yourself. Have a look at your past. Try to judge objectively and see what you are doing currently in the relationship that is being mirrored from childhood. Okay? Not the good things, what is not positive at the moment. Okay? Again, you find people who get abused in relationships. A lot of times, especially females, they have had a issue of that when they were younger. Either their parents used to abuse them, okay, physically, or whether it was with words. And when they go into a relationship, they think it's okay to have a partner say something to them, some bad things to them, okay? Or they try to disagree with something that has been said, something that has been told to them, or even a viewpoint or suggestion of their partner, okay? So they would grow up to feeling that their opinions are inferior and that their voice is not worthy of being heard. And we need to watch those things very closely. Okay? So, again, listeners, we have to be mindful of how our expression is being stifled. Okay, when you look at relationships, how the persons that we want to become, that real you that's on the inside, is being held there. It's not been allowed to come out. How we are afraid, how we are ashamed, okay, of really being your true self. Right? And even if you have an ideal relationship, we all have hidden insecurities, shame, certain bad things about us that do not come out. And our partners may be wondering, why are you acting a certain way? But you know, but you don't say anything. Our partners may be wondering why we always have a certain problem. And it gets even worse when you actually not even realize that it's something from the past that is causing you to act this way, that is causing you to react this way. So if you not realize that, it will be very difficult for you to address it. So those listeners, again, you need to do some introspection, look at yourselves, look at what from the past is really affecting you. Okay? Are you really holding on to any past trauma, past hurt? Okay? Past insecurities, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of confidence, a lack of love. Is that really affecting you in the moment? I make an effort to correct it. Now, so again, we're looking at how trust gets diminished in a relationship. And here, you need to understand that not only it is a partner's insecurities that have not been checked for many years, again, it is also more obviously actions that have taken place throughout during that relationship, throughout the span of that relationship. Again, infidelity is a big one. Okay? One partner not being faithful, trust level will go down. Okay? Also, here, Adultery, especially for married couples, that one is even worse because of the commitment. Also, a partner's past history of infidelity. And that history may not necessarily be with you. Think of it this way. If you have a partner and you know that person has cheated before with other people, and yes, they may have claimed to moved on, okay? They may have claimed to put it behind them, or it could be that they do not know that you know that they used to cheat, but you know and you do not say anything. So they are not aware that you know their history. You will trust that partner a little bit less. Because any rational person will be thinking, if that person can do it to X, they can do it to me. Right? If that person can do it to Y, they can do it to me as well. Doesn't matter how in love they are with you. Doesn't matter how committed they seem to be, how good their actions are, okay, how loving they come across. It's in them. It's in them. And it will prevent some from actually being able to give their full commitment to a particular relationship. Because at the back of their minds, they always have that thought that that person can cheat anytime. And that isn't the case with everybody, of course, but it's something to look out for. Even before you start relationships, try to get an idea of the history. Sometimes you may ask them and they don't really tell the truth. Try to find out. Doesn't mean you have to sneak around their personal lives and not ask them directly. But try to get some truth. It's always worth it. So, in addition to your partner's history, one that people may be a little bit surprised at is actually your history. Do you have a history of cheating? Alright? Have you cheated before in a relationship? And why do you think that would be a barrier to building trust in a relationship? Why do you think that would really cause trust in any relationship to disintegrate? That is because if you not, yes, you know yourself. Yes, you know yourself. However, when the relationship is under some stress, things are going wrong, that you will be less likely to not succumb to the temptation to cheat. Okay? You'll be more likely to succumb to the temptation to cheat because you've done it before. And for everybody listening saying that that is not the case, you are wrong. And again, it depends. It's not a black and white opinion I'm giving you here. It depends. Because someone who has a history, the same way your partner who has a history, is likely to do it again. And they may not. You, knowing what it's like, okay? When the relationship is strained, okay? Say two of you have an issue and the relationship is very bad, things are not going well, and somebody else may be knocking at your door. It may be a lot easier for you to let in. And you have to look out for that one. You really have to look out for that one because that's where your habits can catch up with you. That is where your habits can actually catch up with you. It's something that we need to be conscious of, something that anyone who has cheated before or even been cheated on before, people like to do it back just because it has been done to them. Or they had a partner that used to cheat, so they get another one, so I'm cheating now. Right? Life is not fair, that's what they say. Although that is not right. So, it's something that you have to be conscious of, you need to be mindful of, and you need to try to not repeat. Okay? So, basically, when you are in a relationship, the trust can begin to slowly diminish either because of you and your own personal issues, your own personal traumas, insecurities, okay, and also that of your partners. Your history, your partner's history, and also a lack of communication. And I'm going to touch on that one in a minute. So, what are the main trust barriers in a relationship? Again, I just mentioned why and ways in which trust can get diminished from any relationship. Okay? But number one, as I just mentioned, is a lack of communication. Number one is a lack of communication. That one is very important. When we have our relationships, people, what makes a relationship good? A good relationship is when both partners needs are met and they are happy. When that is not the case, and the other party, the other partner that don't know about it, have a lack of communication there. Hence, you do not agree or you are not meeting each other's needs, so you'll have some friction there. In other words, that friction would manifest in actions that are not agreed on by both parties. Okay, you are not in line with each other, you are not in sync with each other, like some like to say. And you're not on the same page. You begin to do things that, the partners don't like, your partner doesn't like, whether it's conscious or unconscious. Okay? Whether it's not calling at least once to check up on your partner, whether it's forgetting to do the chores, whether it's forgetting to cook for your partner, whether it's chatting on the phone late at night and hiding from them, whether it's not really making time for your partner. Okay, say you take your partner out and you don't do that anymore. So it may not be big things, maybe little things. Very slowly, your partner would not trust you as much because they don't feel as connected to you. You don't cater to them the way that you used to, or they don't cater to you the way that they used to. So that is how a lack of communication causes trust in any relationship to diminish. Secondly, here, not agreeing on what's acceptable and what's not. Again, through communication, in any good relationship, partners need to have a good sense of what is acceptable, what is not, right? What they would accept, what they would not accept, right? What is wrong, what is definitely wrong, and what doesn't really matter. Again, all relationships differ. All relationships have, well, partners in relationships have their unique viewpoints on certain matters, certain aspects of relationships, certain actions partners engage in, some things one partner may be very offended for in a relationship, another relationship doesn't, it's not even mentioned, it's not a problem. Okay, so different partners have different relationships have different sets of boundaries. Okay, so you need to recognize that and you need to make sure that that is well established, and it need not be something formal in word, but at least you talk to your partner. Okay, for example, what exactly is cheating? Okay, so some partners, they're a little more picky, they get offended by things like going out with, say, not a female friend late at night. All right, again, my examples may be contentious with some. Well, the one I just mentioned may be contentious with some, but there are many others, many other little things. And listeners, you are free to pitch in, add to this discussion here. Again, the number to WhatsApp or give us a call. Phone lines are down. WhatsApp only this evening is 714-5574, 714-5574. Some comments really sweeten the pot here. Um, so again, as I was saying, there are many examples of certain things that one partner might accept and another partner might not accept. So it's your relationship, you need to know. Okay, if you're not sure, you need to ask. It's good to ask people, and there's nothing to be ashamed of, right? And you don't just need to ask, you need to tell them too, right? I see some guys who, I mean, they have people and they're afraid to say certain things, or even if the person gets uncomfortable, right? But really see how they see things, not to hurt the other person or to insult them, but to say what they don't like. And if they see something that they don't like, they're afraid to correct the other one. That is ridiculous. You're not supposed to, right? So your partner may not agree with what you have to say, but there should be no shame in expressing it. Your partner should respect your point of view. Okay? Whether or not they want to abide by it is their choosing and your relationship's choosing. But at least you should always be free to express your opinion and also free and open to communicate with your partner. Anything that pops up, anything that makes you uncomfortable, anything that you do not like. Number 3. So here we're going to look at habits. Okay? So the third breaker of trust in a relationship. The habits, so I'm going to mention a few habits there that break trust. Number 1, lying. As the first and most glaring one in my view. Lying. Um, Again, people, a lot of us like to say we have big lies and we have little lies. Alright? What is a white lie? One other lie is still a lie. And there are times where people lie for bigger things and things that are a little more minute, seemingly. But the reason I'm saying this is that it actually does not make a difference. Right? One person might say that, let me give a good example, that, well, where was I at 3 o'clock? Okay, so your partner calls you and you got asked, okay, come pick me up. Where were you? Certain time. Okay, and you all doing car series, but you're in V4. But you say you're in V4. Alright, so say you have a vehicle and you say that you're in V4 in car series. Okay, had car series in car series. Let me not confuse the listeners. Okay, you say you have a vehicle and you say you're in V4. That's what I said. Right? But lo and behold, your spouse's friend sees your vehicle in car streets. Right? And it turns out, upon further questioning, you're forced to admit, of course, you had no defense, that you were in car streets. And your partner may be asking you why. I mean, why would you lie about something that simple? Right? And that would be strange to anybody. Right? So, not just that example, there are many other little ways that sometimes a partner, females like to do it too, you know. They like to sneak a lie in, right? You wouldn't know, man, right? You wouldn't know anything. You'll never know. You can tell him something else, right? So, some people may see that as a little lie, but that could lead to big things. Because, again, you can ask why. Why would you lie about that? And it may not be even be infidelity, somebody cheating, but little lies like that, they lead to bigger ones. Because if it's that easy to lie about something so small and you don't feel guilty about it at all, when it gets more serious, the habit is there. And when you have the chance, the temptation to lie, you will. A lot of people might say that they won't, but they will. Right? So, again, of course, we all know of situations where you want to surprise your partner. So it's okay. I mean, it's okay to try to give a surprise party or something. You get forgiven for that one. But the point is, for many situations, you need to be careful, people, the lies that you say. And we all lie, right? We all like to think that we're saints, that we are perfect, that we never make mistakes, and the other person always makes a mistake. But we all make mistakes sometimes. And sometimes those mistakes are more glaring than others. Sometimes we lie when we don't actually need to. So what if you want to cause and said you went to V4? Just say so. Alright? It may be something, but it may have been an emergency. Say work. Okay, say you have to go drop a friend. I mean, we all do things for people. What's wrong with actually saying that? So you're so afraid that the partner might think something that you don't say that. Okay? And what if your partner's friend who saw your vehicle in car streets saw you somebody? Alright? And that person that they saw you with, that female, actually was the co-worker or friend who you just did a little favor for. There was no relationship, no romance there. So you see how a little lie can turn into something big. Alright? Those listening, you see how a little lie can turn into something that is very big. So you need to be very careful. Alright? You need to be very careful. When there is no need or reason to lie, don't lie, people. And it always seems small. That's nothing. You'll never know. She'll never know. But you never know what can happen, how it can happen. Sometimes the day that you think that some person's not around and they're not looking, yeah, but I is looking for them. Alright? Or when you think that they don't know that you're there, trust me, they knew that you were going there even before you got there. Because somebody, a friend of a friend of theirs, of yours, told them. So be a little more honest in that, and that'll protect your relationship. Because even when things are unintentional, like the example I just mentioned, it can hurt your relationship in ways that you would not like. So these little white lies, you need to avoid them if you want to maintain that trust in your relationship. Second habit here is constantly bringing up the past. Okay? Say a partner did something that was very bad during the relationship, made a mistake, so you constantly bring it up as a tool, as a weapon to make them feel bad. So that in turn would hurt the partner's self-esteem and really shrink their confidence. And they would trust you less. Because you using that as something against them, keeping score, like somebody like to call it. They won't trust you with their emotions anymore. They won't trust you with their happiness, in a sense. And they would hesitate to tell you things. When something goes wrong, they would hesitate to tell you the full story. And that would weaken your relationship severely. You may wonder why that person don't speak anymore, right? That person doesn't really express herself, doesn't really see what's on her mind anymore. You come in, they let you come in, nothing for that. On the inside, they may be boiling over. So people, you need to learn to let go. Not bring up the past so often. I mean, things happen, right? You do wrong things. Well, person does wrong things. The partner do wrong things as well. You need to learn to let go of that and not bring it up all the time, because you're hurting your partner and you're hurting yourself. And if you do wrong things and it is constantly brought back to your face, it will hurt you as well, right? You like to do things to people, but you don't see how it can hit us in the face as well. So you wouldn't like that. And as tempting as it may sound sometimes, okay, that person is up confident and you really want to get something to bring them down, right? To put them in their place. You throw it back in their face, right? As good as that might feel to you, that is a very bad thing to do. That is a very, very bad thing to do. So you have to be mindful of that. You have to be wary of that. Try to do that a lot less, because it's not nice doing it to somebody else. It is not nice having it been done to you. Next habit, abuse. Physical, verbal, sexual, whichever kind. Abuse, listeners, plain and simple, brings fear into a relationship. Okay, say one has been sexually assaulted, abused. Again, they don't sexually, you're stifled. And obviously, you could understand the trauma that is caused there. I won't go into that so much. Physical abuse, again, a lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem. Okay, a partner really feeling as if they don't have a voice, right? They feel afraid to be themselves. Say one goes out at night, comes back late, right? Or one has gotten embarrassed in public before. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. I mean, those listeners, I'm sure they know people or they themselves, maybe in situations where that is actually the case, and or they may have gone through that before. So that would bring fear to relationship. Again, verbally, right? When people have the worst things said to them, their self-esteem absolutely stepped on with words. That diminishes their self-esteem. Their self-worth goes down. They become very sensitive. They cannot stand up for themselves. They cannot defend themselves when they actually should. Right? So that is bad. That is something that if you feel that is wrong with you, you need to make an effort to remove, to extirpate. Okay? To move on from. So, you really need to make sure that the cycles of abuse are not still lingering. And even if there are, they are not affecting your relationship or the level of trust or the vitality of your relationship. Next, blaming your partner for your own actions. Again, things go wrong, and sometimes the cause is a little contentious. So one partner wanting to not feel guilty points a finger at the other, right? Therefore, they blame the other one. And of course, it's always easier to point the finger. But when something goes wrong and a partner knows that they were the one who did it wrong and intentionally points a finger at somebody else, that is bad. Right? You transferring guilt to where it's not supposed to be and the guilt is actually on you. Right? They do have to make themselves feel good. Both genders do it, male, female. So I'm taking no sides here. So if you know it's your fault, you have to own up to it. A lot of people do not have the humility to do that. Right? They feel like they're too big, or they own everything. Right? So I'm not apologizing for anything. You have to apologize. Alright? I'm more educated than you. I'm not supposed to apologize for anything. Alright? I'm above you. Not supposed to apologize. But that is not a balanced relationship. And that is not a healthy one. That will not be a healthy one either. That will not be a healthy one at all. So, when something goes wrong, when something happens, when there's a problem, and someone has to take fault, the rightful person has to take fault. We are all human. None of us are infallible. So, there will be a time where we all do something wrong. And it's okay to say that you did something wrong. It's okay to accept responsibility. Responsibility is okay to accept blame when it is due. It's okay. Life goes on. Alright? So, partners, you toxify a relationship when you do that. And you have to make sure that you do not impose any unnecessary guilt onto your partner when it is not due. Number 4, here, jealousy. Jealousy. Very incipient one. When one partner is jealous of the other, be it how much that they have financially, again, you're in a relationship, that should not necessarily be happening. Or one partner acts in a way to make the other one jealous. So one partner flirts with another, okay? Yeah, another individual, and it makes the other one feel jealous. Say at a party, or it could be even a formal gathering, and the other one feels jealous. Say the guy is always talking to the another woman that she doesn't know, and even if she knows it, doesn't make a difference, and he doesn't say stand by her at all, right? He almost ignores her. So we all know that. I mean, people get jealous very quickly, and I mean, women get jealous, guys get jealous too. Let's say you go to a party, and I mean, you come as a couple, and let's say you step out for 2 minutes, and you come back in, and your person, your lady is dancing with someone, and dancing them for the whole party, and the only time they knew you is when you had to go. I mean, you be born with rage. Well, some people might not, but a lot of people I know, a lot of guys that listen, I know will. A lot of people will. So, I mean, that's an example of jealousy. Sometimes the bad thing is that one partner may actually be doing that intentionally. That is when it's worse, actually. Again, if you see that happening and you sure that the person is not on purpose, probably that might not be the right relationship for you. That person may just be trying to get back at you, and that is very healthy, or that person may not like you at all. So take note and take the right action. Number 5 there. So again, habits that really cause trust to diminish in a relationship. Trying to deceive your partner. Okay? So through sleight of hand, okay, say you're a little more educated than your partner, so you try to deceive them in a way that they may not recognize. Okay, be it with money, you try to pull the wool over their eyes, and try to use, say, intellect or some other means to really fool them and make it seem that you're being fair when you're actually being not. That is not right. And if it doesn't work, or you caught, the partner won't trust you as much. Okay? And the partner will lose trust for you. Because even when you have some sort of advantage, you abuse it to their detriment and to your gain. Okay, you don't just use it, but you abuse it, right? So whether it's male, whether it's female, when you manipulate your partner, that is not nice at all. That is not nice at all. That should be avoided. A lot of females, you know, try to embarrass their partners, say their friends, say in public. Again, that's not directly related to that point. But a lot of females really try to make their partners look like a fool, right? Intentionally, just to prove a point to a friend or to themselves too. They're on top, right? They're the one that's ruling the relationship. And that's bad. Sometimes some partners, say they know that their partner is, say, doing the best financially, but it really makes them feel small on purpose, right? Not appreciative of what they have at the time, and unknowingly, to the other person, not to them, tries to manipulate the partner into, say, giving a little more when they don't have, right? Or going above and beyond to really make them happy at the expense of the relationship. That's what they want, personal gain. And they don't take into consideration the welfare of their partner as well. So that is bad. And a lot of people, and I don't like to say just women, both sides, very manipulative when it comes to that. You may think that it doesn't happen in your relationship, but trust me, it does. Take a hard, long look. It happens in almost any one of them. Again, when that happens, that person is not being selfless. Right? Any good relationship, of course, you all to some extent are naturally selfish. We're wired so genetically. But any good relationship has a degree of selflessness in it. Alright? We don't always put our needs first. If we always did that, our relationship might be very different. So you have to consider that. Trying to hold a relationship hostage. In other words, you try to threaten to leave the partner every time something goes wrong. Alright? It could be a minor problem that you're having, but you threaten to leave him or leave her. Alright? Or put them out. Or any variant of breaking up. That is bad, people. Alright? So, whenever you have a conflict, your partner, whoever has a shorter end of the stick, whether it's financially or any other means, feels threatened. Right? And that is very, very, very bad. That should not be. And I know it happens in a lot of relationships. Right? So it makes a partner afraid of doing a particular thing. And you are limiting them. You are limiting, again, it happens especially when one partner has a lot more money than the other. Okay? And say you have a girlfriend and she doesn't work. And say you're making a lot of money. So you have everything, you have a lot of things and she doesn't. And it's almost like you want to leave. So the last thing she does, you try to leave her. Right? You try to over exaggerate, you try to amplify it. So it ends up in your breaking up. Or she leaving, or you throwing out. And that is not right. That is not fair. Of course, I would encourage anybody to not be in a relationship where financially it's not fair. Financially, the scales are not even. You want to be happy. Try to be in a relationship where the disparity is not so large. Because trust me, yes, you might get some things easy. You didn't work for it, you didn't get it, but it'll come back to bite you. They'll throw it in your face one day. So be careful about that one. So again, a good way to really avoid constantly being threatened by a conflict in a relationship and a partner using that to their advantage is to try to be in a relationship where there's a huge, try to avoid being in a relationship, where there is a huge disparity, okay, when it comes to wealth, right, things that you own, okay, try to avoid it. It's better for you. So the last habit would be fear of being yourself. Okay? So again, the last habit that will diminish trust in the relationship. Partners really, again, that lack of self-esteem, right? They're stifled. They have something to say, but they never say it. They have something to say, and they can be alone in the room with you. No one's around. They can be alone at home with you, but they still cannot say it. And say, when you're gone, they try to send you a little text, or they try to tell it to somebody else. Now, I'm not talking about any friends who just met. I'm talking about an actual relationship. Or you have partners who live together, they see each other every day, eye to eye, but they can't speak to each other. That is very bad. That should not be happening. And then any relationship that is very good, that will not be happening. But it happens in others. So it has to be mentioned, it has to be noted. So if that's the case in your relationship, that will really diminish the trust that you have. Because if one partner is withholding, you don't know when that they will be withholding. And they may be smiling at you, but they may have something that is deep-seated that they are not speaking about. And you think that everything's okay, everything's going great, but things are very sour about you. So you need to be talking to your partners. You need to make sure that they feel free to express themselves. They don't feel stifled. You don't feel that they have no voice. They have no say that their voice, their opinion is not important. Yes, they may not always be correct, and you may not always be correct, but it's still important and it's still valued. Because a relationship is not just one person, it's two. So that will conclude the habits that will diminish trust in the relationship, the trust breakers in a relationship. Next, we move on to how trust is built and maintained in a relationship. Again, we all know a few points here, but the first one, honesty. Again, I mentioned lying and lack of communication in first trust breaker in a relationship. So when building and maintaining trust, honesty. When you start out, it's important to be honest. Don't lie. Right? Because if you start lying once, you may lie twice. And if it's even if it's not a habit, your partner won't believe you, even when you tell the truth. So don't start that pattern and don't entertain it. And try not to entertain it in yourself. Okay? We all know when we've been lied to. Right? It's not as hard as you think. Sometimes when you lie to, your partner cannot look at you straight in the face. And even when they can, sometimes things just don't connect. And they get a little uncomfortable when you touch a soft spot in a story that they just gave. So you can't know. Number two, here, when you look at building trust and maintaining it in a relationship, let go of the past. Stop holding on to the past so tight. And I'm not just referring to traumas from your past childhood, okay, negative experiences you may have had when you were younger, but actually experiences that are part and parcel of the relationship. Okay, so if a partner did something that's very bad, don't always hold it against them. Don't always, remind them of it every day, every week, every month, every year. Right? Relationship has to grow. Relationship has to go through different phases. You cannot keep repeating the mistakes that a particular partner, that your partner made way back when, and bring it up to make them feel guilty, to make them feel bad, to bring their self-esteem down. So you need to avoid that, and you need to let go. Okay, not just your partner, but you will do things that probably you will not will mention twice. We all know of people who, they have fits of anger and they say certain things and they do certain things. that they would rather regret. Right? You think they want that being brought to them every second? Of course not. Right? Sometimes even infidelity. Sometimes it depends on the relationship and the severity of that case. But you don't always hold things against people. Because sometimes we all make mistakes and we all want to let go of them. We all may want to become better people and not make those mistakes again. Alright? So please don't always hold on to things tight. If your partner has done something that cannot be forgotten, cannot be forgiven, then let go of the relationship. What is still doing with them? Right? Let go of it. Move on. Alright? Number 3, I only have 4 things. Expect things to go wrong. Even the best relationships, listeners, are not perfect. If the best relationships are not perfect, therefore you will have some hiccup. Partner who does something stupid, wrong. Okay? A partner who is not as abiding as he should be. A partner who does something out of the norm, who offends you, sometimes unintentionally, and you feel hurt and your feelings are not, you don't feel secure. But that is normal. And even the most perfect of relationships, where both partners try their best to be honest, try their best to really be the best partners that they can be, things go wrong. Things go wrong, and we need to understand that that is actually a normal part of any relationship. However, I'm not saying that you have no boundary as to what you accept and what you don't. But there are things that are less grave than others. Right? It's not everything that you would get angry about or spend a week talking about. So you need to learn to move on from things, right? And see a relationship more as a journey. More as a journey with somebody, with your partner, through time, than just getting to a particular place, a particular destination, and expecting heaven, everything to be perfect, because that is never really the case. Number 4, and that is the last one, and I touched on it in the last point. Have clear and established boundaries. Have clear and established boundaries. Trust me, that will save you a lot of headache. That will really put things into perspective for you and your partner. Okay, your partner would be less afraid to do certain things because they know what is wrong or what is right. And even when they do mess up, and it's established that they mess up, and they knew, so and they didn't know that wasn't accepted, or the partner didn't like X or didn't like Y, you can act and act decisively. Okay, so a good relationship has clear boundaries. Okay, and partners who are serious about that relationship and who are committed about that relationship, whether they're married or they're not married, doesn't really matter. We look at married people are not always in a broken relationship. Again, we all have relationships where, again, stick within those boundaries by and respects really distasteful infidelity, their wishes. We may not necessarily have a broken marriage, but you have relationships where problems are a lot more severe. That is very, very important. And don't just take a quick makeup, okay, or just a few words to fix. So when you look at repairing those relationships, again, sometimes problems in the relationship may be too much for both parties, and they may need to get external assistance, external help, third party counselor to actually really hear both sides and try to help them form somewhat of a solution. But the main blocks of it, the main pillars of the solution, for example, for a broken marriage, say partners who are on the verge of a divorce. Again, communication. Alright. So you need to again identify the problem. Okay. The instigators here need to take responsibility. Alright. There is nothing worse when someone knows they did something wrong, but they refuse to take responsibility for it. Right? Yes, they may say that it's not their fault, but deep down inside they know it's their fault, or they caused it, but they don't acknowledge that they did, and that ends up breaking up the relationship because one partner has so much pride. If it's not the other partner's fault, it's your fault. And even when it's an external party or something that was brought upon you, or one something that an external party tried to, or some way that an external party outside that relationship tried to interrupt or break into that relationship or disturb that relationship, one person may have caused it, or one person may have had the control to really govern how much that person gets in or how successful that the external party was. So again, in a broken relationship, communication, that's important. And both partners need to be able to speak to each other, need to be able to say what's on their mind, need to be able to say how they feel and have it addressed. And compromise and have it addressed. That is such an important part of any relationship. People with the best intentions, if they cannot master successful communication relationships, their relationships break down. And that is one. Whether you're young, whether you're old, of course, so this is mostly an adult topic. Whether you're old, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, you need to be able to communicate well with your partner and understand them too. Again, successful long-term marriages gets built upon successful communication, good communication. Trust gets built on good communication, right? So, and even when something goes wrong and trust is diminished or threatened a bit, it's corrected very easily because both partners can actually see their problem. One can express it fully, where you're not holding anything in, and solve it quickly. As I said, things go wrong. We need to learn to acknowledge and accept that and prepare for it. Again, learn to forgive. Alright, sometimes partner may have cheated, adultery, infidelity, and say they had another child. And I mean, you may need to learn to let go of that. As if you want to keep your marriage or if you want to keep your relationship. Again, that is if you want to keep your marriage or your relationship. Now, in order to move on, you may have to let go of that. That's tough to hear. And it's completely dependent on the partner. But if that is not you, if it's not worth it, you don't have to. Right? And that's what it takes for the relationship to move on, because you already feel that that's where you should be and the partner is already apologetic. Yeah, you may have to forgive them for something very bad that they did. It may not just be another child, it could be many other things. Right? It could be many other things. Now, finally, you must learn to trust yourself and let go of your own insecurities. Again, you recognizing that you may have things that you hold up, you've held in for almost your entire lifetime. Okay? It could be from when you were young, certain things, certain habits that have been transferred from your parents to you, certain bad things, okay, certain bad experiences that you may have had in your life, that in your past relationships, that really affect you and really shape your perception of how you view your partner, how much you trust them, how much you let them in. You know, things that really shake you up. You have to slowly let go of that. In any good relationship, that is actually supposed to happen naturally. Or your partner should actually allow you to let go. And you should trust them. Again, trust is not something that just happens with time. It's through action, it's through communication, it's through knowing each other on a very profound level, being knowledgeable of both persons' insecurities and accepting them and helping them actually go past them at times and living with them. Okay, that's what an actual relationship is. Supposed to be able to freely be yourself, your full self, and even have your weaknesses, sure, without being judged. All right. Now that is the end of my segment, listeners. Again, has been a pretty long discussion. Again, we speak of trust in relationships and building that trust, understanding why that trust is broken down, why it breaks down in your relationship or in somebody else's relationship, and learning how to deal with that. So, to wrap up, I'd like to leave you with one quote, and that is by Ernest Hemingway, a writer. And he says, the best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. In other words, in other words, you need to give it a fair shot. Alright? If the person doesn't prove to be trustworthy, I mean, don't trust them. But if you never allow yourself to fully trust somebody because of your own insecurities, because of you and what may be wrong with you, you're not really living and not really allowing that person to have a chance to really show what they're worth. Okay, so it goes both ways. If people don't deserve your trust, don't give it to them. If you give them one chance and they don't, you're not learning, cut it out. Simple. Okay? But unless you don't try, you'll never know. Alright? So again, listeners, that's been a very good segment. Like, we thank you for listening. Again, we have more topics like this in store. Again, stay tuned for next week's episode. Again, I'm your host, Krish Adel, and I'd like to stay tuned for next week. This has been how to build trust in relationships. Again, thanks for listening. Good evening and goodbye.